Tonight's poet comes to us from just over the hill in Ojai. She began writing The Clarity of Chaos while studying in Paris, where she also began her journey of sobriety. Now 3.5 years sober, Hannah channels her experiences with addiction and recovery into poetry that is raw, honest, and deeply human. I am so happy to have her. She's just a joy to have around. She's sitting in the back of the room at some of our events and just beaming back there. So, we figured we had to have her come here. So please welcome Hannah Turner. So I'm going to ask one question and then I'll turn it over to you. Okay, this is your journey of sobriety, but how did the book come about?
That's a really good question. It wasn't ever meant to be a book. It was a way of processing big emotions in early sobriety. Writing has always been my outlet for strong emotions. I find the written word to be so much more clear and creative to me, and it comes more easily to me than spoken word. So speaking in front of people makes me very nervous. But when I was living in Paris and decided to get sober, I had been drinking since 15 and got sober at 25. And so I had never known myself as an adult sober. And I was writing my thesis that was also evidently about addiction. And all of these strong emotions were coming up. And I was on my own for the first time, away from home, living in a small apartment. And suddenly I really knew that I had to get sober. And as I did, emotions that had been unprocessed for so long came up, and my outlet became writing. And so I just started writing these little sonnets. Poetry was never the goal. I never thought of myself as a poet, but now it makes so much sense because poetry is so dramatic and sad and beautiful, and I'm a very dramatic person, and I love the sad beautiful, and I love to
emote.
Yes, thank you. Emote. Emote energy, and so poetry kind of found my way, and it helped me tell my story. And by the time I was done, by the time I was graduated and done with my thesis, I had this collection of poems that followed my story. And I noticed that they were in 3 different sections, like the depth of my addiction and what kept me in the spiral, and then the moments of clarity that I was having in early sobriety, and then finishing with just such a celebration of a new life, toxin-free. And I was like, oh, this is a book. And once I saw the poems as a story, I saw them as a book. And I was like, I do actually want to put this out into the world, because I've noticed in meetings and in AA and talking about my story, I've noticed the power that words and sharing your story have in allowing people to feel less alone and less ashamed and less weird. When I was in my addiction, I felt like I was the only one. I felt isolated, I felt crazy, and that no one would understand. And so to be in these rooms and these meetings when I was first going to AA, and the power that words and this power that stories have, I was like, oh, this actually isn't original. I'm not alone in my pain in this. And it alleviated so much pain for me. It's funny, my dad likes to say that the key to his success, and a motto that he lives by, is most things in life are best left unsaid. And I fundamentally disagree with that.
That's great.
I believe that telling your story and words have healing powers. And I believe that saying the hard thing is where healing lives, and keeping it hidden in the dark is where shame lives. And addiction thrives on shame and silence. And if I can be a part to eliminate that for anyone, those ingredients for anyone, I would be so fulfilled. And so that is a huge purpose for me to write and to put this out into the world.
They are beautiful words, and we're really glad you didn't listen to your dad. So I have another question, but I want you to go ahead and please share your word and your story, and then I'll ask at the end. Then we can open it up to the audience. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Oh my gosh. I do love performing, but it also makes me so nervous. So thank you for being here. So the first poem that I'm going to start with is actually the first poem of the book. And I'm going to read it first and then kind of explain why it is in the book and why it's the first one. Letter to my first love. Dear alcohol, you were my very first love. Before any man or woman outside my family, before I knew how to love myself, there you were. I loved you the way a drowning person loves a floating device. Our first time together created a lightness in me. Mind foggy, heart protected in a vault, body free. This is the freedom that I once chased as a child. Eyes blurred in the most relaxing of ways. No longer tethered to anything. All pain relinquished. No thoughts or feelings of inferiority. No more shame or sadness for being me. You tied me to my father at a time where there was distance. A dull, altered state welcoming us into the flames together. Your burning embrace ventured him and me down a path of accomplice building that only grew throughout the years. Your liquid courage led me to tumultuous relations, dangerous at times, explicit, broken love affairs, one after the other. You made me feel special and loved, grown up when I hadn't done the work to get there. You could also bring death and betrayal, turning me into a monster who cuts the throats of anyone who dare take you from me. I was possessed by you, obsessed, with bloodshot eyes, racing heart, and pounding in my chest. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself with you by my side. And still, when you left, I missed you in a way I've never, ever missed anyone. I still do from time to time. You almost took my life, and still, I think of you when I'm sad, or happy, or neutral. But someday, you will be a distant memory, a vice I was engaged with long ago. The reason I wrote that poem and the reason that I chose to start the book with that poem is when I gave up alcohol, I felt like a really bad breakup. I felt such grief because I truly loved alcohol and it played such a vital part in my earlier years. And I believe that it helped me numb some emotions that I wasn't ready for at that age. And it soon became the thing that was slowly killing me, so I had to break up with it. But it felt important in my early recovery to acknowledge why it came into my life in the first place in order to heal from the grief of breaking up with alcohol. Speaking of breaking up with alcohol, another kind of similar theme to this is my second poem. When I first got sober, the idea of never drinking again was so grand, so I promised myself a year, 1 year of not drinking. And those of you who knew me back then, which a few of you did, know that leading up to that year, it is all I talked about. It was all like, so do you think I could drink again? Like, I think I can handle it now. Do you think I can handle it now? Like, okay, but maybe like wine and gin and like not tequila this time, right? That makes sense. I was insufferably obsessed with the idea of bringing alcohol back into my life. And I think it ties in with the breakup because I don't know about you guys, but a couple months after a breakup, my mind does this really fun thing where it just reminds me of all the good parts of someone. And it just forgets to tell me all the bad things and the reasons that I broke up with the person. And that was really similar to alcohol. And my experience in bringing this ex back into my life happened about 3 months after I hit a year of sobriety. I was out to a restaurant with a friend of mine, and I ordered a glass of wine. And I had about 2 sips of it, and I pushed it aside. And the very next morning, I woke up and wrote this poem. The morning after a milestone. Screams flooded my chest with no way out. Silent tears and toxins drowned my heart. The taste erased the pride of growth. Sorrow and self-punishment filled the air the next morning. I've experimented and received my answer. I can't have this poison in my body any longer. Tasting sweet at first, but turned my insides black with ash, the aggressive fear of repeating the past. Having been bitten by this beast once, I decide never again. I received my answer and let the drink go for good. I am so relieved that I came to this conclusion, and I don't suggest to anyone in new recovery that you experiment, but for me, I would have kept spiraling and spiraling and spiraling and spiraling if I didn't realize that I didn't want it. And so once this switch flipped in my mind, and I decided I didn't actually want it, it went from I have to stay sober to I get to redesign my entire life in a way that I am actually in control. I'm in control of my body, I'm in control of my choices, and I get to design a life that I never would have thought possible with alcohol. And having this switch flipped created a freedom in me. I can now be around alcohol with no cravings, no fear. I go out with friends who have a drink in front of me, maybe not a margarita, but it's the one that still lingers a little bit. But luckily no one in my inner circle likes margaritas, so that's good. But being around alcohol without that fear inspired me to write this next poem. If I can find it. The liquor bottle. Feels no different to the touch, spinning it around in my hands, scanning my body for a live wire, strong feelings of fear or excitement, worry or anger. But no such emotions appear. There is a void of electricity in my chest, no gravitational pull to numb. My impulses are at rest. Is this what it feels like to no longer be owned by this substance? Is this how it feels to be free of obsession, free of cravings? Impairment once looked like freedom, but it's shackles in a sparkly, glistening disguise. Real freedom is a breath, one breath between thought and action that soon allows for enough space for me to see the choices laid out in front of me. The space to see what I was opting for then and what is possible now. And to end this reading, I have one last poem to share. I've realized going through these poems that I had written 2.5 years ago and seeing what resonates with me and what doesn't, I'm realizing another key reason that I wrote this book is self-accountability. I think that self-accountability is a core value of mine, and we all make mistakes. We're human. I have made lots of mistakes in this book, but learning how to own up to them. And I think now more than ever, self-accountability needs to be a core value in our society. And but equal to self-accountability, I think thanking the ones that have helped us get to where we are. And so I am so fortunate enough to have a support system that is so strong and so encouraging for me. As AA likes to say, no one can do this for you, but no one can do it alone. And with so many friends and so many family members supporting me, I want to count one out. I dedicated the book to my mom. She is someone who has jumped into every fire with me, even though she's like, hey Hannah, I see the direction that you're going in and it looks like the house is on fire. And I'm like, no, it's fine, it's gonna be fine. And I come back and I'm like, I'm on fire. And she's like, I think I told you that. she has never given up on me. I have jumped in 1,000 fires and never given up on me. Did not expect to get emotional at all. This one is from Mama. To Mom. You make me a better, stronger, healthier, and happier person. Feelings are so grand that words feel tiny in comparison. I can't look at you. Thank you is merely too small when expressing my gratitude, for I would not be where I'm at without you. You have saved my life countless times. Lying about my struggles and pain, I am truly sorry for not seeing how it hurt you, but my heart is at ease to no longer hide from you. You are my safe space, my lighthouse. I could not see the light with the darkness disturbing my vision. Now I know that you are in my corner, on my team, and you always were. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, I think if there's any questions, I was just literally about to walk away. I was like, no, just kidding.
No, not yet.
Can I open it up for questions? Yes.
I'm curious how long from start to finish was your writing process?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I started halfway through my first year of sobriety, and it lasted. I finished writing the poems. It took a year about, but then it took another year and a half to edit, and then another year to get it published. But the actual writing probably took a year and some change. And so they just kind of fell out of me. I think it's also because I wasn't expecting it to be a book, that it just kind of came out. Yeah. Yes.
Are you still writing poems, and are they on the same theme or a different theme now? What's happening?
That's a good question. I am writing my second book.
Okay.
It is a poetry book, kind of similar but different. It's about the disillusionment of young women, and how I had so many kind of dreamlike ideas as, early 20s, as so many young women do, and kind of wanting my life to be shiny and sparkly, and alcohol being a part of that, and kind of slowly seeing that wasn't what was actually happening, that I thought I was going up and it was down. And it's a similar theme to so many women along those lines. I'm not totally sure, but along those lines. Thank you.
I have a friend right now in the midst of her struggle with alcohol. Do you have something that you felt like was helpful to hear from a friend or family member, or something that was not helpful to hear from a friend or family member?
That's a really good question. My best answer is that they are listening, even if you don't see the impact. They are listening, and people had told me throughout the years things that stuck with me. Didn't work in the moment, but it really stuck with me. I had a friend who held me and said, I prefer the sober you, because I thought that people liked me drunk better. And so to hear that, I kept drinking for a couple years after that, but that stuck with me. So you never know. So don't be afraid to say something, and there is disappointment, because you might not see it, but people are listening. And my mom had told me for many years, and friends and family, but everything stuck, but I just didn't see it because I didn't make the change until I wanted to. I couldn't do it for anyone else. I couldn't even do it for my mom. I had to do it for myself. But all of those words stuck. That makes sense. I know it's a frustrating answer.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for your answer.
Of course. I will keep your friend in mind.
Was Al-Anon helpful for your mom and your friends?
I actually don't think that that my friends or family went to Al-Anon? That's a really good question. You know, AA was such a big part of my first year, and I have such strong beliefs around AA, and they have served so many people. But I think I go every now and then now, but I find that going deeper, and I felt a slight, and this is just for me, I feel nervous whenever I say anything because they've done so much amazing work, but I also felt slight amount of shame when I was there sometimes, in a way that I didn't in, say, like a Smart Recovery. I love Smart Recovery. They're also not in a church. If you're someone who religion kind of gives you the ick, it's a community center, and it deals with all different addictions, and so I still go to them. But and the 12 steps changed my life. Yes.
Are you still doing your podcast?
No. I don't want to say no, but no. I'm taking a break from the podcast. But that was really helpful, and I think I got in my own head about that, about hearing my own voice. But I have been really thinking about bringing it back. That's a good question. It will be brought back.
No shame.
Chaos. Thank you. But you know, I still post on Instagram, and I am a sex and intimacy coach, and I do work with destigmatizing a lot of different conversations. I love to eliminate the shame and stigma in topics in life that are deemed as taboo. I've been locked up since I was a kid. I love talking about the things that people stop talking about that in public. I was a gender studies major. I talk about addiction. I talk about sex. I want to destigmatize all of the stigmatized conversations. There's a long-winded answer.
The role of Paris
Yes.
into your sobriety and your writing. And I'm sure your life, if you weren't there, would have ended up much differently than you had. And I was just wondering if you can expand about the importance of what Paris meant to you in terms of sobriety, your creativity. And if you have a poem about Paris, maybe share that.
Oh, I wish I did.
Okay.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna,
Next
my
book.
Yeah, my next book.
Okay.
That's a really good question. Because it took going so far away from home. You know, I knew I had a problem when I moved to Paris, and it was something of like, can I go? You know, and I was barely accepted to the American University of Paris because I was just, you know, I had been asked to, long story short, but my grades were just barely par, and so I knew that it was risky to go there. And I was like, am I ready for this? And going so far away from home allowed me to really see how bad it was, because I no longer had a safety net. But at the same time, so I like to say that Paris helped me get sober, but being able to go home whenever I was able to helped me stay sober.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of back to that, no one can do it for you, but no one can do it alone. And I think Paris, I think because being drunk publicly is so shameful there in a way that is more celebrated in the States, that also kind of helped me take a look at my actions, because I'm not someone who could ever like casually sip a glass of wine for 2 hours the way that Frank should be. I don't understand. I would be like 2 bottles deep. I'm like, I don't. So it's easy to spot someone who has a problem easily, or in that, I mean, they like their wine, but they don't celebrate drunkenness in the same way that the US does. But it's changing here too. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, that's great. That's great. Any other questions? Go ahead.
So, to add to that answer.
Yes.
I mean, it was hard because she was just, I knew she was fragile, but she really wanted to go, and it was also during COVID.
Yeah.
So I really think that distance, as much as it was hard on both of us, I think you're right. I think that having more distance from that safe place so that you couldn't just come and land and blend and be like, everything's okay, you didn't really have the actual weight
Yes.
of what was happening.
Yes.
It
Ah.
required that, even though it was
Mhm.
hard on
Interesting.
the parents too.
But I could also always come, like my professors were so amazing and they knew the situation and we could come home a lot. And so I think that without that support system, like I knew I could and we talked so much. So I think having a solid foundation is key. But yeah, like on the nights that I was so down and would lock myself in my apartment, I didn't have someone to keep me accountable. So yeah, I think the best, and I'll keep coming back to this kind of cliche, but it's so true that no one can do it for you, but you need a support system. So both, I think, are true.
Ken as well.
Yeah.
So reading this and having some distance, and now you're at Chaucer's, and like, tell me about the camera lenses. Like, does it feel far away when you read those poems to people who've ever heard them, or does it come alive in you again? Like, how do you relate to your own words as you're speaking like that?
But wait, here's that question. How do I relate to my own words? Some poems feel very distant, but some feel kind of sad in a way that I can relate. I can still very much relate to a lot of the harder ones. But I think I have so much compassion for the version of me that wrote this, because I don't think I had the tools that I do now, kind of like that liquor bottle of that space. I think I still have intense cravings and intense depression and anxiety, as I wrote in the book. But I think I have more tools in my toolkit to access and to not fall into that as much as the person who wrote this did. Yeah, so I have some distance, but not as much. You know, I like to be like, I'm almost 4 years sober, and like that feels like so much, but that also feels like so short, because this feels like it was yesterday, but it also feels like it was a different person. So
Wow.
both.
Wow. Are there any more questions before we start the session? Hannah Turner, thank you for sharing the clarity of chaos with us. Hannah Turner, everyone.